My name is Dennis Cusick. I graduated in 1999. I was mid-career. I was in my 40s, and I needed a new challenge. The job I was in, I was a newspaper copy editor. I'd been one for 20 years, and I needed something new. That was not enough for me. And law school was something I'd always considered doing before, but there'd always been a reason not to. And by the mid-90s, there was my kids were old enough that they didn't need me quite so much as they had earlier, and it was the timing was right for going to law school. Given the job I had at the Sacramento Bee, it had to be local, and the fact that I had family here, I had to go to a local school. So I basically had three choices: McGeorge, Lincoln, and UC Davis. My LSAT scores, fortunately, were good enough for McGeorge at the time. Might not be today. I was 42 when I made the decision to go to law school, and it connected with the fact that my father was 62 when he retired from the state. He was personnel officer for the Department of Agriculture. So at 42, it was, gee, I might retire at 62. Can I do what I'm doing for another 20 years? And I said, no, I have to do something else. I need a new intellectual challenge. So McGeorge in itself was an answer to that need. Law school was an intellectual challenge that I wasn't getting in my job. And so I loved being at McGeorge. I know some students are intimidated or they don't like it, but I absolutely loved law school. It gave me the intellectual stimulation that I needed. I didn't know going in what I was going to use it for. The first time I was here for orientation, the April before I came on campus, Dean Kelso, that would be Jane Kelso, suggested after our little orientation seminar that we go sample a class. And I went and right over here and went to a criminal law class, and it was Joshua Dressler. And I felt at home because as a young reporter 20 years earlier, I had covered police and courts in Cincinnati. And the subject matter that he was talking about was very familiar to me. I mean, it was on a completely different perspective, but it felt like home. So even though I initially applied here without knowing what I was going to use a law degree for, I pretty quickly realized the direction I was going. I was sitting in criminal procedure class before, taught by Joshua Dressler, who is now at Ohio State. And he wrote on the board the phone number of the Federal Defender's Office and that they were hiring interns. Well, back in 97, I guess that was, we didn't have cell phones. And there was still a payphone in the hallway over there. And as soon as I got out of that classroom, I ran for the payphone to be the first one to call the Federal Defender's Office and tell them, I'm interested in your internship. Because of my background in newspapers, the Federal Defender Writs and Appeals Unit was interested in me. I had a writing background, and that's what they were looking for there. They hired me on. I spent my last year and a half here also interning at the Federal Defender's Office, and then when I passed the bar, they offered me a job in their capital habeas unit. So what I have done in the intervening 24 years is that I have represented people in prison. First in federal habeas in death penalty cases, then in death penalty appeals, and then more recently in life or parole. So all of my clients effectively have been prisoners. McGeorge is a good foundation. I think law school in general is a good foundation for all kinds of things. It teaches you to research, teaches you to think on your feet, to improvise, and to that extent, I think McGeorge was great preparation. a lot of what you learn in the practice of law is on the job training, but the preparation that I got in McGeorge made me prepared for the next step. McGeorge does a good job of preparing the legal community in Sacramento. I think a great percentage of the lawyers in Sacramento are McGeorge graduates. It is, to my mind, a very good reputation in the legal community here. I'm at the other end of my career now. I'm 71 years old. I did not retire at 62. I'm not retired yet. I love the practice of law. I love representing prison inmates, helping them try to rebuild their lives. And it seemed that maybe I had something that I had a perspective that might be useful to the school. I am an older student, I'm an older graduate. I was an older student. I am one of the oldest, if not the oldest, member of the board now. Maybe I have something to contribute. Last night I was at the student alumni dinner, and I thoroughly enjoyed engaging with students in their 20s on the other end of their career, who show a tremendous amount of idealism, and that was encouraging for me to see. I thought the professors that I had here were outstanding. I still have relationships with a couple of them. Mike Vitello is definitely still here, and I am in contact with him on a fairly regular basis. Joshua Dressler, as I already mentioned, was one of my favorites. I can't say enough about McGeorge. I owe my career, the success I have, to the education and the opportunities to connect with the Federal Defender's Office, which led to everything that followed. I owe that all to McGeorge and the professors I had here, professors who nurtured me and continue to nurture me, provided a couple of recent graduates for me when I was doing a death penalty death penalty opening brief, and I needed some help with the research. And those recent graduates were quite helpful in completing the tasks that I had at hand, and quite confident.